Hi all, welcome back to the channel Cloud Knowledge. Today in this video, we'll try to connect and query data present inside Azure Database for PostgreSQL Flexible Server. So if we consider the playlist created for Azure Database PostgreSQL Flexible Server, we have studied how we can create this database in Azure using Azure Portal, then to connect it through Portal as well as through Azure Data Studio. If you have not watched those videos, I recommend you to watch those videos to understand this video better, because we'll consider the same database which we have created through Portal and connected to Azure Data Studio. So, this is the official documentation page of PostgreSQL in Azure, where under the Quick Start section, there is a section to connect and query to this database using .NET. And here we have the prerequisites. We should have Azure account. Then we have this flexible server created through Portal or Azure CLI, which we have already done. So let me first show you the PostgreSQL. So we created the CK test PostgreSQL as the flexible server through Portal. This is created. Then use the empty Postgres database available on the server or create a new database. So if we go back here under the settings, if we go to the databases, whenever we create a new flexible server of PostgreSQL in Azure, by default 3 databases will be shown. The other 2 are maintenance and system related, and this third one is the Postgres database. Okay, which we can connect, or in the first video I've already shown you how we can connect to it, okay, through Portal. So it is saying that you can create a new database or use the empty Postgres database. Install the .NET SDK for your platform. If you do not already have the .NET SDK for your platform, that is for your environment, just install it. So here's the hyperlink given. If you open it, you'll get to the page where you can download the .NET SDK. Our platform is Windows and we do have the .NET SDK for Windows. Next is install Visual Studio to build your project. If you do not have Visual Studio, you can install it from the hyperlink given here. Okay, install the free version, that is the community version. Next is install npgsql NuGet package in Visual Studio. This point we will see when we open Visual Studio. So all the other prerequisites are already met for our environment. So we'll go next to the connection information. Okay, so it says go to the Azure portal, check in the overview the server name and the server admin login name. We'll go here. I've already shown you in the overview that we have here the server name and the server admin login name, right? We'll take a note of it, and then comes the first step, that is to connect and insert data using .NET. So it says use the following code to connect and load the data using create table and insert into SQL statements. The code uses npgsql command class with methods, and the 3 methods will be used. Open method to establish connection to the PostgreSQL database, create command to set the command text property, and execute non-query method to run the database commands. Important point to note is that in the below code which is given here, okay, we have to replace the host, DB name, user and password parameters. So if you see the code here, you can see the connection related information is given: host, user, DB name, password and port. This we are gonna change it. So I've already copied this command into a notepad. Here the same command I have copied, and in the host name I have given ck-test postgresql.postgres.database.azure.com. User is ck PostgreSQL. DB name is Postgres, that is the default database we have considered. The password which I have given while creation of that Postgres database, and the port number. So this information I have taken from this database. Server name I have copied, then the server admin login name, this and this. DB name is Postgres, the default DB which I have shown you under the databases section, and the port for the PostgreSQL. Okay, if we go back to the documentation, the same code is taken and in this code, we are actually giving the connection string information, and then we are trying to, with the help of the different methods, we are going to create table. Okay, here we are creating table named as inventory. Execute non-query method, we are trying to execute the query, and then inserting also some rows into that table. Okay, this is what we are going to do. We'll give Control A, Control C, and open Visual Studio. So here we have Visual Studio 2022. We'll create a new project, and the project will be console app. Click next. Here we'll name it as connect query PostgreSQL. Click on next. Framework default. Click on create. Click on create. This will open up our new project connect query PostgreSQL. Here under the dependencies, you can see program.cs file is generated, and since we have copied the contents to connect and insert data into it, that is the PostgreSQL will just paste the same here in the program.cs of the Visual Studio. So here we have pasted the content in the program.cs, and now we could see here, if we hover over the second line npg-sql, it says that the type or namespace name could not be found. You're missing it here. In the project, we don't have it. So for this purpose only, if we go to the documentation, it is said to install npg-sql NuGet package in Visual Studio. This step we are going to do now. So if we go to the dependencies under the project, we have manage NuGet packages. Just click over it. Make sure that on the right side, package source selected is nuget.org. Okay, else you'll get error if this is not selected. We'll go to the browse section, and here we'll search for npg-sql. And we could see here, it appears at the top, npg-sql. It is open source .NET data provider for PostgreSQL. We'll click on install. Click OK. Wait for it to install. It shows now here uninstall, means it is installed. We'll go back to the program.cs, and now we could see that the error is gone. Okay, this code looks fine now, where we are actually creating an inventory table and then inserting few rows into it. Now we'll execute this. So click on execution. And here we could see that it is dropping the table. If it existed, then number of rows inserted is 3. It shows, right? We'll close this. We'll go back. We'll go back to the official documentation. So we did this step. That is the step 1 to connect and insert data using the npg-sql command class 3 methods: open, create command, and execute not query. Next, we'll go to the step 2, that is to read data. Here in read data, we'll use the following code to connect and read data using a select SQL statement. The code here also uses npg-sql command class with the methods open, create command, execute reader to run database commands, read to advance the record in the results, and get int32 get string to pass the values in the record. Okay, so this code also to read the data I have copied in the notepad here in advance. Read data PostgreSQL.cs, where I have changed here the connection strings, and then if we go down, it is used to select data from the table which we have created previously, that is the inventory table. Select all and copy, and go to the Visual Studio program.cs file, Control A, Control V. So now in the program.cs we have the read data from the PostgreSQL, that is select star from inventory. Okay, command. Now we'll execute this code, and it will display the contents of the table. That is, it is reading from the table first row, second row, and third row. The same rows which we have inserted. using this connect insert. Okay, we had created inventory table, inserted these 3 rows. Okay, banana, orange, apple. And the same data we could see through Azure Data Studio. If we open Azure Data Studio, here we are connected to the Postgres database. And if we click on refresh to the Postgres database and expand it, and if we go to the code, connect and insert, we are connecting to the database Postgres, and here only we are going to create, we are connecting to the database Postgres, the default database, not creating a new one. And here we have created the inventory table. So we'll go back, we'll try to expand this Postgres, open the public system here. Under the public, we'll open this public and the tables inside this as inventory. So this is the table which we have created. If we try to select the top 1000 entries in the output, we can see the result that it has 3 rows, banana, orange, apple, which we have executed through the .NET code. Okay, same is present here. And now let's go to the official documentation. So we perform this reading of data too from Azure Data Studio as well as through the code. Next is to update data. In update also we'll use the same class npgsql command, 3 methods: open, create command, execute not query, and the same code, this code of .NET, I have pasted here in the notepad with update data.cs. The connections, here is the connection related code, same as before, and then the update SQL statement. Update table, set the value of quantity. Here the value is shown as 200 where the name is banana. Okay, so we'll just Control A, Control C, we'll go to the Visual Studio. In the program.cs, Control A, Control V, we'll paste this code. Now we'll paste the code. We'll stop the previous execution and execute this code. So in the console we can see it has opened the connection. Number of rows updated will be 1. Okay, we'll go back to the Data Studio and we'll execute the same code here again in the inventory database, and now we could see that the data has been updated. What it updated? It updated the quantity. Okay, the quantity of banana to 200. Earlier it was 150. So the quantity of banana is updated to 200. Earlier, if we see in the original query, it was 150. Okay, update also happened successfully. If we go back to the official documentation, now we are going to delete. Perform delete using the same npgsql command class with the method open to establish connection, then create command method to set command text property, and execute non-query to run the database commands. This code also I've copied in the notepad. Delete data.cs, change the details here, adding the details of your PostgreSQL, and then the SQL query to delete from the table where name is equals to orange. Orange row we are going to delete. Just copy it, go to the Visual Studio, program.cs, Control A, Control V. Okay, delete. Then stop the previous execution, execute the current code of deletion. It has opened the connection and it will show number of rows deleted is 1. Now let's go to the Azure Data Studio and click on run. We could see that the row with ID 2 and name orange is deleted. Using .NET we have deleted the row. So we have performed all the operations using .NET code. Delete data, update data, read data, and connect and insert data. And we have verified the same using Azure Data Studio. I hope you've understood this video of how we have performed this using .NET code. Do let me know in comments if you perform the same and face any issue. Thank you for watching this video. Happy learning. Bye.